Hello again, and welcome to Winning with the Wrangler at Dick Powell's Leadership Corner, brought to you by Earth, Wind, Fire, Water Training and Development, where our passion is building leaders of today and tomorrow. Leaders, the information on today's program was gathered from many different places and many different people. If you hear yourself in our conversation today, please remember, it is not all about you. It is funny that I have to make that every day in front of the TV and radio when we go on air. That some people actually believe that what I talk about every day is all about them. As I was going through some notes, I came across a thing I wrote a long time ago, and it was when I was a director of education, and it was posted as you walk through my door in my classroom. It went something like this, and I'll tell you, if I was an employer, which I've been, I think I should have put it on my desk or on the wall behind me in my office. It simply stated, "Enter here." And when you hear "enter here," isn't it a welcoming area? Well, maybe not. But underneath it, it says this, notice, in bold capital letters. Leave the excuses at the door. If you have not completed your assignment, admit it. If you did not understand your assignment, ask for clarification. If you did not do the work, accept the outcome. You are one member of a team. Team leaders are here to instruct, inspire, encourage, provide, and lead. Each working together to bring the best leadership knowledge and skills to those who we serve. Now, just think about that. If you had read that as you came through the door, leave your excuses at the door. One of the things that I learned so very well, and I'd like to share with you is that leadership needs to shy away from making excuses. You see, if you mess something up, if you make a wrong decision, well, it could be terrible. It could be that you just need to really think about what went wrong and ask yourself, what did I learn and what will I do next time? This way, no excuses are needed to be made. It's all about finding solutions. And that, my friends, really is the mark of a great leader. Now, the thing about the assignment really is that leaders, we delegate, we make sure that things are to get done, and everyone has an assignment within a corporation or a company. Well, if you don't get it done, admit to it. Don't try to cover it up. Don't try to blame it on someone else. Don't try to, sweep it under the rug and it never happened. Admit that you did not get it done. I really don't know why, unless there was some kind of death in the family or something terrible happened to you. What I want to know is when it will be done and what are you going to do about it? That really, again, mark of a great leader. Now, if you didn't understand your assignment, ask for clarification. That time to ask for clarification is right at the very moment or very soon after. You see, if you're needing to ask clarification, there's two things that are happening. One, myself as the leader didn't do a very good job of being clear and concise of what we were asking you to do. Or two, you didn't take very good notes. Or three, you just weren't listening. You see, any of those things could be a possibility. But if you really don't understand, ask. That's the mark of someone who is really involved and cares. If you're not asking, well, that's just telling me, the leadership, that, oh, by golly, they just really don't care about what's going on. This is a stumbling block for many people. Now, this one, I have to tell you, is something that bothers me a lot lately. If you did not do the work, accept the outcome. You see, that goes right back to the first one. Don't make excuses. Don't do the work, there's going to be an outcome. And there's outcomes for everything in our life, both good and some not so good. But they come from our decisions that we make. Now, decisions for leadership oftentimes stem to a different situation. The first one is, especially for leaders, it's a lack of commitment. And no involvement, no commitment really starts to run together in this situation. But the outcome, if you don't do the work, well, could be you don't get paid. It could be that you're asked to leave. It could be a lot of different things, but the thing is I really put on here, if you did not do the work, you could have admitted to it, found a solution, moved on. Whatever the outcome is, you've got to admit to it and work through it. You are one member of a team. No matter where you're at in the corporation, whether you're the top leader or you're somewhere in between, you're a member of the team. Now, if you don't believe you're a member of this team, you really probably shouldn't be in that zone. And you need to find someplace else to be. Quite frankly, this is the most important piece. If we're not all working together for the same opportunity, the same outcome, then why are we there? And that's the thing you need to realize. I've worked in large organizations where there were many different teams within the large organization, but we were all working towards that same end goal. And our teams were all working with other teams, inter team working. We were all working together. Those who did not know how to play well with others or know how to work well with others didn't seem to last very long. And that's probably a good thing for our team. But you have to realize that you are one member, one person within that group. Now, the reason I add the part about team leaders and what they're responsible for is because I believe it's up to us who are team leaders to really put forth. I believe we're called to do some instruction work. And that instruction is really through the coaching and mentoring methods. That instruction of how to get things done, when to get things done, what needs done, how to think on your own, how to solve situations without coming to the person at the top. Those instructions are going to be ongoing, by the way. They don't just happen once. So many times I've seen faltering corporations where the leadership thinks that they can do things just one time, say it just one time, print it just one time, and it's going to be miraculously understood and taken with inside each individual there. And I must tell you that that's just not the way humans learn. So be an instructor. And that's more than anything else you can be. You're there to inspire. Team leaders are there to inspire everyone, not just themselves, but everyone around them to work together on this situation or the project that they've all come together to be there. Why else would you want to be around someone that's a bunch of grumpy old people instead of an exciting, enthusiastic organization? It just doesn't seem to work out that way, does it? Encourage. Encouragement is a little different than inspiring. Inspiring is kind of getting the enthusiasm going, but the encouragement is actually personal. You're doing a great job. Thanks for doing that. Your team is just really moving ahead. Simple words, but you know what? They mean so much. That encouragement of, hey, we're doing great. We're moving ahead. can mean the difference between a team moving and a team stagnating. They're there, team leaders are there to provide you with what you need to do and be successful. It could be as simple as a ream of paper for the printer, or it could be as simple as some new pens. But it could be bigger than that. What if your team came to you and said, look, what we really need is a new projector so we can all work on something together. If they came to you and said, if we could just link all of our computers together so we could work on one common link up with our ideas, that would be a super thing. Team leaders, that's your job. Provide the opportunities for them to be successful. It's part of our opportunity. It's part of our job. And last but not least, team leaders are there to lead. That means lead through what? Your actions and your words. You see people do what people see, and people hear what, repeat what people hear. So that truly means that we're there on a daily basis. We're not hovering over them to micromanage. We're there to check in. How you doing? What do you need? What do I need to provide you? You're there to take that encouragement and inspiration. You're there to take and do a lot of different things. You see, I think it's a two-sided piece. I think people need to come in on the team. They need to be ready to go to work with no excuses. I think they need to really come in and say they've accomplished their assignment, and if not, really have a solution for why not through there. I believe that people on the team need to really, if they don't understand, ask for clarification. That's good, just good communication back and forth. But I believe it's the team leaders' situation to instruct, inspire, encourage, and provide and lead. I believe it's two-sided. But I just really liked the way that this was. Now, I realized I was reaching back into my old world and bringing this out, but I think I'm going to go ahead and have this laminated and posted up on the wall. That's how much I really believe in these words, especially this last piece that I wrote. Each of us working together to bring the best leadership knowledge and skills to those we serve. I want you to think about those words, especially the words we serve and how that goes together. Now I'm going to take this on to the different side of that little piece of information because I believe it's so important to take and talk about both sides. I don't think you can have a positive outcome without some positive input, but I think you need to also look at the things that sometimes don't go right in order to learn how to make them right. Find solutions. You see, that's the part of leadership that I believe we don't talk about near enough, is solutions versus complaining. Solutions versus just doing the same old thing. New solutions, new ideas, changes of paradigms. And that's where I'm going to take us next. It goes right along with what I had printed up here on the wall. Many times I find that leaders who don't make such good decisions. Their decision making is kind of tweaked in the wrong direction. And sometimes I find that when a leader is starting to make poor decisions or ones that don't quite match up with the team or the organization, it's because they lack commitment. They lack commitment to the organization of where they're at. And they lack that commitment of what needs done and how it needs done and those type of opportunities. They're not committed. They're not all in. And so they make decisions through a fuzzy set of glasses. And I just cleaned mine, by the way, so I'm good. Okay. I find that those leaders also have scattered focus. Not only do they have a lot of things on their plate for the organization that they're in, but they're looking at different things outside the organization, and they're so congested in their minds that they're not 100% focused on where they should be. Their focus has been removed to outside the corporation or next to the corporation, or something new that's happening to them, or some terrible tragedy that's happening at home. You need to find out with your leadership when that starts to happen. But you're not going to be able to do that unless you have a good relationship with them or her to be able to have that discussion. Hey, what's going on? This is not like you. You seem to have changed and not focused on where we're going and what we're doing. It could be something outside those outer limits that they're focused on. One of the things we found so much is we found that some leaders are having trouble staying focused at their corporation or organization because of something called a side hustle. Now, side hustles aren't terrible if you can do that splitting of your time and talents of doing it on your own time, so to speak. I don't have anything against them. I know many of us, like myself, who took our side hustles and made them our main opportunity. But we need to be focused. If we're in a corporation, we're in an organization, we need to be focused on where they're going. We need to know what their values are. We need to know what their vision and mission really is. I found that leaders sometimes get lost in this situation where they look for excuses everywhere. I'm too busy. I have too much on my plate. So and so didn't get that done. Such and such didn't happen because. And they spend all their time spinning these excuses versus working on solutions. When this happens, again, you need to find out what's going on with them. If this is a sudden change, then that's one thing. Or if this is a habitual thing, that's a different story. Leaders need to be able to make good decisions with the knowledge that they have within the organization, gained from their total knowledge base. If they're making a lot of excuses, I have to take and question that knowledge base or their commitment. That's something we need to talk about. One of the things that gets leaders in trouble, quite frankly, is sharing personal thoughts with the public. We have all worked with a corporation. We've all worked for someone. We've all been involved in that situation where we had personal thoughts of how the company was being run, how the organization was happening. And sometimes we need to show some loyalty and not make those public thoughts public. We need to keep them to ourselves and look for solutions on how to solve them. But if you go outside and you start bad mouthing your boss, your company, your co-workers, what it does, it sends a really red flag that this person is not trustworthy. Not trustworthy both within the corporation that they're in, and boy, why would you want them in anyone else's? So, leaders, be very cautious. I'm not saying don't have someone to go talk to, because we all need to do that. But that would be a coach or a mentor. That would not be putting it out public. It would be holding it within into that private conversation. Having a great coach where you can have that conversation, I have to tell you, really will help you work through some of those situations and really help you work towards solutions instead of angry excuses. Now, the other thing is, When I hear a leader say, well, that's good enough. That's good enough. It's close enough. I have to start questioning those type of decisions. What does good enough mean? Well, it really means you didn't do it very well. And it really is not good enough. It's really a snarky remark when you think about it. It means you've kind of done it halfway. Had to clean that one up, I did. But think about it. I love it when somebody tells me, hey, it's all good. We're working towards the solutions. It's all good. That tells me that they've got a positive spin. They've got a positive way to look at it. But when you tell me it's good enough, that doesn't mean it's excellent. That doesn't mean you did your best. It just means, well, it was good enough. I guess good enough. Well, good enough is never good enough. That's what I'm going to tell you. But when you hear someone saying it over and over, especially in leadership, here's what happens to people that work for that person. All of a sudden, their work becomes, good enough. It's okay. And they start passing it on, and there's where the excuses start. You say it's good enough, it's just an excuse for not being excellent, not doing my best. I did good enough. When leaders stop taking direction is a real red flag. That's the time when the discussion needs to happen. What's going on in their life that they all of a sudden have stopped? Again, is this a habitual thing where they've never been able to take the direction? Or is this something that just popped up? If it's something that just popped up in a recent time and all of a sudden they're just unable to take direction, what's going on in their life is the question you want to ask. What's going on? Where are you? Are you with us? Those are questions. And I'm going to tell you what, if it's a habitual thing, if this person is one of your leadership people and they've never been able to take direction, are they really one of your leaders? Terrible decision-making time comes there for all of us in leadership. This one is one who I think for leaders is something we need to be very intentional about. Inconsistent behavior. So many times I see leadership that during the corporate hours, they're one way. They're very motivated, they're very focused, they're very down the line, they're looking out for everybody else. But as soon as the bell rings, they turn into another person. I've seen leaders who are out on the golf course or on a fishing tournament turn into people. I thought to myself, where did these people come from? And then I've seen them with their families, and I really know their true person starts to come out. And that scares me just a little bit. You see, real leaders, true great leaders, are pretty consistent no matter where they're at. They handle situations and problems, then they come up with solutions. They handle their family the same way that they handle everyone else. And it's not so much handling, it is really working with. You see, there's that give and take. But boy, on the golf course, out fishing tournaments, bowling, I have seen men and women in leadership turn into something entirely different. I've seen them at company parties and Christmas opportunities where they turn into these people that, who are they? Leaders, we must be intentional about who and what we do because people are always watching. And if we act inconsistent, guess what? The people that we work with will do that also. I worked for a person one time who was into practical jokes. And so everybody on the team was into this practical jokes until one day someone got hurt. And all of a sudden, the person who was at the top made a lot of excuses and pointed a lot of fingers at a lot of people other than themselves. You see people do what people see, and people repeat what people hear. Practical jokes and those kind of things had no place in the business world, and they definitely have no place out in the corporate world. But there they were. And those of us who didn't participate, well, we were pretty well shunned because we didn't like those type of things. We didn't think that was part of the world. When it was all said and done, there were 4 of us who were there and the rest were gone. You must be intentional about how you act, the words you use. This thing of inconsistent behavior is such a strong thing for us to look at that I believe that we as leaders need to be intentional about what we're doing. I have found that when leadership's people start to make some not good decisions, almost always these are folks who they have poor relationships. Poor relationships with the people they work with, poor relationships with the people at home, poor relationships no matter where they're at. They just seem to either A, not care about what other people want or believe in, or care about other people in general. Strong relationships build strong leaders. Quite frankly, that's what leadership is all about, is relationships. You see, when these things start to happen, the rest of the leaders need to pay attention. And again, ask that question, is this something that just popped up, or is this a habitual trait? The last one I want to talk about is leaders who absolutely, positively will do everything in their power to avoid change. We as leaders, I hope, recognize and understand that change is the one thing that we can count on every single day, whether it's in our organization or a company or even our family. Things are going to change every day. The weather's going to change. People are going to change their minds. We're going to look at things differently. I have to tell you, though, when you have someone on your team who shows any of these characteristics, whether it's lack of commitment, scattered focus, lots of excuses, can't quite seem to realize that big picture. They share their private thoughts and open with everyone who will listen. They constantly say, that's good enough. They don't take direction. They're inconsistent in their behavior. They have poor relationships and they avoid change. You need to ask that question. Is this a habitual thing? And if so, are they really leaders, and do we need to have them in our world? Or B, is this something that's just popped up? Is this something that's new? And is there something going on in their lives that we can either help with or understand? Great questions for a great time. Remember, it's all about the other person. We as leaders need to understand it is never about us. Now, I see my time has come to a close, and on behalf of myself, Dick Powell, and the whole Leadership Corner team, I want to say thank you for being a part of today's program. Our hope is that you've received a nugget of wisdom and guidance that will help you become a better leader. Now, if you have any questions or comments on today's program, please don't hesitate. Give me a call, 727-422-1833. Send me an email, dick@ewfw.org. Go to the website, www.ewfw.org. And here I want to give you your challenge for the day. Are you building great relationships with all those who you have come in contact with, especially your other team members? Send me an email. Let me know how it's going. And let's take and talk about it from now on. Well, I see our time's come running out. So until next time, it's DW the Wrangler saying, ride hard, ride fast.